Welcome to Foreign 360. This is Mark Welfley, your host today. Thank you for joining us for our global outlook with a local view. If you have attended a Cleveland Cavaliers game and watched the halftime show on court, then you are certain to have seen a man, a drummer, large in stature and spirit, in the middle of the drum line. He was a cast member in the off-Broadway production of Stomp. He has appeared in movies, including a brief cameo in the recent release of Judas and the Black Messiah. Larger than life, with the positive energy to match, his name is Elec Simon. Elec is an actor, percussionist, entrepreneur, volunteer, and nationally recognized inspiration for kids. From small beginnings in Smithfield, Ohio, population just about 800, Elec moved to New York in 2002 to chase the dream of playing music on stage, but never forgot his roots, returning to Ohio to begin perhaps his most important journey, expressing his anti-bullying message to students through music. Today, we will talk with Elec Simon about his life, his projects, and what's next. Welcome, Elec.
Hey.
Nice to see you.
How you doing? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me, how does a boy born in Smithfield, Ohio, reach the stages of Broadway and beyond?
Drive. Drive and knowing my why, knowing why I'm doing something. And I think the biggest thing is just how I was raised. You know, my mom taught me to love people. I think love, I got it on right here, love. You know what I'm saying? My mom taught me to love people, and she taught me to don't make excuses. That was the big thing, you know what I'm saying? All my aunts, I have a big family, big, huge family. Still to this day, you know, we're all, you know, all together and still big. And, you know, it's just like, that's something in our family. Don't make excuses. If you want something, go get it. I guess that's what being a country boy is all about, you know? You want something, go get it.
Do you have a mentor, and can you explain the importance of mentorship?
I have a couple. I mean, I look up to some people. I don't look up to a lot of people. I look up to some, you know. My mom, of course, she's my mentor. I mean, there's so many. Oh man, my Uncle Greg Rice, one of my mentors. Kenny Peterson, who's my neighbor. He's one of my mentors. Sandy Womack, Dr. Sandy Womack. He's another one of my mentors who I look up to. There's a lot. Pastor Ronald Fowler, you know, the pastor of Arlington Church of God. He's retired now. He's another mentor of mine. But there's so many. I can go on and on.
Sure. Well, can you pick one of those mentors and maybe share a story or a little excerpt about what you've learned, what that mentor has taught you?
One thing that they all, and like I said, there's some that I haven't even mentioned. There's a lot more mentors that I've mentioned, but I know that they're all on the same page. They told me, they said, Elec, they always say, Elec, you have something special. And once you figure out what it is, they say you know what it is, but once you figure out what it really is, you're going to be unstoppable. And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, and that puts pressure on me because I'm like, what are they talking about?
Sure.
But you know, some people say, Elec, you have so much going that you have so many tools and so many weapons that you don't even know what you have in your pocket. And me, I'm just like, okay, whatever. I know what I do. I'm an entertainer, blah, 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 blah. But that always sticks with me. That's what all of them have told me. You have so much going. Once you figure that one thing out, or it don't have to be one thing. Once you figure out how many weapons you have, then use it. And I think that's what I'm doing today. Sure. I'm pulling out my weapons and I'm using them. So,
when did you realize that you had these weapons, that you could actually put them to good use instead of just people around you saying you got that something?
When did I start putting them to use? I'd say 2020, when the pandemic hit. I say 2020 is okay. Now I have to really dig deep in my soul to see what I'm really about. I'm sure everybody did. I'm sure you did. I'm sure people out there in the audience watching this. I mean, I know they had to dig deep. I had to dig really, really deep and see what my soul and my spirit was about. And my spirit is resilience. That's the number one thing that can put you can put Elec Simon, you can put Dash, resilience. I think that's the number one thing. And I have it tattooed on my arm. You know, I've never give up. I believe, blessed, stay focused. I have all them things on my, you know, as tattoos. But resilience is my middle name, pretty much. I think that's what it is. I think resilience is what defines me more. I'm trying to, you know, everybody figures something out what defines them. Even you. Yours might be faith. Yours might be strong. Yours might be giving. Whatever. You know, mine is resilience. I think. It proved it to me in 2020. That's what it was.
So that was timed with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
So what was it about the pandemic and the resilience? How did they work together, dovetail a year ago?
Because everybody's world shut down, but the entertainment world really shut down. Everybody shut down, but the entertainment world really shut down. I was like, okay, I know I have certain things, and a lot of people don't admit stuff, I think, and I'm on TV right now on camera admitting this. I'm not a master at anything. I'm great at a lot of things. You put me in a room with a lot of people. You might be a master at congas. You know what I'm saying? I'm great at them. I can do that, but I know I can learn from you. I'm great at bucket drumming. I learned from the best in New York City. But Larry Wright, William Johnson, Jared Crawford, Ray King, they're masters at it. That's their thing. They originated that stuff. Larry Wright is first. I played with Larry. You know what I'm saying? I've played with Will. You know what I'm saying? These guys are like William Johnson is like my big bro. He taught me, took me under his wing in New York City when I lived there. But I'm not a master at anything. I'm great at a lot of things, and I think the pandemic's like, okay, I need to pull out all my great things, my mind, my hustle, my resilience, and I need to make something happen because I don't know when the world's going to open back up for me. So that's when I started studying on my own at night for my CDL, get my Class B CDL, because I always wanted to be a school bus driver.
Yes, I want to talk about that
Yeah.
a little later in the interview.
I know
love the pictures on Facebook of you driving. It's really really
Yeah.
awesome. I want to know, how old were you when you took a something and tapped it to something else, therefore representing drumming? Did it make an instant connection with you?
Man, Mark,
Where did this start?
where did it start? I don't know. Soon, as soon as I can pick something up. My mom said I was always pounding and doing stuff in school. I always got in trouble. I always got in trouble in school. Let all the people hear it. I got in trouble doing the table, you know, the table beats and everything. Always. If somebody needed a beat, it was me. Hey, Elec, can you give us a beat? But I don't know. I played on everything. That question's kind of hard because it's like there's no. I mean, my body, clapping my hands, playing drums. I started out playing drums in church. You know what I'm saying? My mom was a stage manager for a lot of shows. I would watch a lot of the musicians and choirs and bands, whatever show, fashion show she put on in big arenas, and be backstage sitting in a chair watching my mom direct the show, watching the drummer warm up, watching everybody warm up. So that was me. I was always around it, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I just started filtering up.
Yeah. So in preparing for this interview, I read about your story in New York City and your trip there, and as you mentioned, playing drums next to some of the best street drummers, perhaps in the world.
Yes.
And the questions that sometimes bubble up, which was, what do you tell an artist, drummer or any kind of artist, who wants to play on stage and is looking for a start? What do you tell them?
I tell them you have to know what you're getting into. Know your craft, do your homework, and just go do it. Put yourself around the people who are doing what you want to do. Put yourself around it. Like when I moved to New York, Mark, I'm a boy from Ohio, moving to New York City. My goal was to audition, you know what I'm saying, for Stomp. I want to be on Broadway, whatever. And I got it because I was determined. But I had to eat, had to pay my rent. I was there a year before I even auditioned. I had to eat and pay my rent. I was like, okay, I'm going to chase my dream. Played in the subways. That's where all that came. So I put myself with Will. I put you know what I'm saying? I put myself with Larry and everybody like that. So it's like I knew what I wanted because that's the art form. Bring in the noise, bring in the funk. I still have the VHS tape. Bakari, Jason Samuel Smith, Omar Edwards, Dormisha something. I mean, all these people, and like I know them now. They're all my friends now. Like I watched that tape over and over again towards worn out. And I still have it to this day. And I was 16, and watched it over and over and over again. I was like, this is what I want to do. And then Stomp. I'm like, okay, bring in the noise, bring in the funk, or Stomp. One of them, I'm going to get one of them. I got Stomp, but noise, funk, I know them all. They're all great guys. They're probably my biggest influence of who I am today. Is that show, Bring the Noise, Savion Glover's show,
Yeah, sure.
Bring the Noise, Bring the Funk, yes.
So talk to me a little bit about the New York City music street culture. If you're playing on Fifth Avenue and someone else is on Times Square, does word get around? Go hear this guy. He's or this musician. Do the street musicians talk to each other and kind of have a certain echelon that they form of who's good and who's not? And what's the story? Give me a backstory there.
Right now, I wish my big bro William Johnson was right here right now because he would go in. Yes, you just can't go to New York City and just sit down and start playing. I'm gonna be honest with you. You can't just walk into that city and say, hey, I'm a drummer, I'm gonna go sit down and play. But I did. I did, Mark. That's why I got the respect that I do from the greats. Because I said, small story, just what you said. It was at 42nd Street, Times Square, Dramatics. William Johnson, founder. Dramatics was playing. I was like, I hear these drums. I'm getting on the train, about to go back uptown to Queens. That's when I lived in Queens. I hear these drums. I hear everything, everybody playing. I'm like, yo, go around the corner, buckets, djembes, they jamming. Crowd is filled. I'm like, oh, man, are you kidding me right now, Mark? So when they take a break, they finish. I walk over and start talking to a djembe player that was part of the thing. And I sit down and I start playing, and William Johnson, who's my big bro now, talks to me every day. He's like, you know what I'm saying, known him for over 20 years now. He comes up, yo. He looks, he's like, yo. You know what you're doing with that? Who are you? I was like, who are you? And he looked at me like, whoa, who's this dude? I came back and said, who are you?
It's bold.
Bold. I was like, he's like, you know what you're doing with that? So I played a little bit. He's like, all right. He's like, all right. He's like, let me get your number. Gave my number. We talked. Went to his house the next day. He said, I'm gonna put you on these buckets. Went to his house the next day and did, bucket. We like rehearsed. He showed me some things, and it's been history ever since. He took me on his wing and made sure I ate. Made sure I had food in my stomach, made sure I was taken care of in New York City, made sure I had a job during the day before I even got Stomp, and I was playing in the streets. Then I got Stomp and still did that during the day. And he's my big bro now. He'll tell the world that.
Love that story.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, but crazy in a great way.
Yes.
My guest today is Elec Simon. Elec is a percussionist, an entrepreneur, volunteer, nationally recognized inspiration for kids, which is where I want to go to next. And that is your anti-bullying message that you take to schools. I'd like to know a little bit about how it started and what it is. What do you do at schools?
My school show started, and this is another story. My school show started when I first got hired in Stomp that nobody knows about. I first got hired in Boston. Nobody knows this story because I really don't talk about it because it makes me cringe. I auditioned against about 900 people in Boston and got casted. Got picked 6. 2 weeks before the show was going to start, the sit-down show in Boston, my back goes out, my lower lumbar, couldn't stand up. I'm like, what's wrong? Legs was tingling. The producer of Stomp said, you can't do this show. We got to send you home. I broke down crying. I was like, y'all can't do that. I've waited my whole life to do this. We got to send you home. Thank you for coming. You know what I'm saying? Came back to Akron. That's when I was living in Akron. Was depressed. Thought about everything. Thought about ending it too. The whole 9. depressed, and I said, you know what? My buddy Adrian Martin is the first Elec Simon and friend. He's the first friend of Elec Simon and friends. Me and Adrian Martin started doing school shows, just two of us, talking about respect. I really didn't touch on bullying, just talking about respect and everything like that, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Then I went to New York City, got stoned, and after that, and re-auditioned and got my job back against 1,500 people. Redid that, got that back, and I was like, wow. It's kind of like Ali got his belt taken away, and he came back and got. That's what I did. Came back and got that. That's a whole nother day, whole nother story. Long story short, came back and got that. Then I was like, you know what? I need to help. I started hearing things about kids committing suicide back at home when I was doing Stomp and doing the world tour. And my best friend Terry Ford committed suicide when we were 16. I was like, you know what? I have to leave this show. Did my 8 years, you know what I'm saying? Came back and did like another year. Came back and filled in on the tour in New York City, filled in, boom. Because once you're in Stomp, you're in it. You know, if you have time to fill in, you can go fill in. Did that, went back home. People's like, why are you coming back to Ohio to do school shows? You're on one of the best shows in the world. Let me just do what my heart's telling me to do. My heart was like, you got to go back and do something. Did my first couple shows, bringing a band. You know, we set up hour before the show, and the crowd comes in, they see all these buckets, drums, and band. We're playing, like, okay, what is this assembly? And I read the crowd, because every crowd's different. And I'll start off like, hey, one mess up can ruin your life. Or I'll start and say, hey, you know that you're loved. I can start and say, you don't know his story, you don't know his. It just depends, or I might just keep playing. All the schools, that first run, I did about maybe 15 schools. Then the next year I had 30 schools. Next year I had 50-some. The year after that I had 60-some schools. Then my tour getting bigger. I went to Connecticut, Minnesota. Everything started getting big, like, who is this guy? Because superintendents and teachers was like, wait a minute, we've never seen a show like this, because you're so direct. Some parents don't like it. Some teachers are like, oh, I feel like you was yelling at the kids. And then other teachers are like, well, this is what they need. Are you going to tell that kid's parent who commits suicide because their son keeps picking on them, or their daughter keeps picking on them, when they leave this earth and say, I don't want to live no more because I go to school when I get picked on and nobody sticks up for me? You're going to tell their parents that, like, oh, he came at them? Because I'm telling them, I was like, look, leave them alone. So I bring them down. Who's getting picked on here? We're going to nail this right now, because a lot of schools push stuff under the rug. Under the rug. And I don't care what interview I'm doing, I'm telling the truth. They push it under, oh, we'll deal with it later. Let's deal with it right now.
Will the students actually come down who've been picked on?
Yes.
Will they finger point to those who bullied them?
But I don't even fingerprint. Here's the thing. I'm so glad you said that. I'll say, who in here is getting bullied? You'll see 15 people raise their hand. In my spirit, I don't know how. I was like, I'll read people, because I'm even like, oh, I get talked about a couple days. If you're getting picked on straight, the kids who really are getting bullied will start crying. Come here, man. Come here, young lady. Come down here. They come down. I said, you get picked on, why? They talk about my weight. They talk about my shoes. They talk about my clothes. It gets completely silent in the gym. Teachers looking, they're like, oh, man. Yeah, because y'all should be doing stuff too. Shame on all y'all right now. So you got this guy coming in who don't know nobody, and I'm sticking up for this person. So then I say, who in here has ever bullied somebody? That's how you get them. They say, people look around, and they're brave.
Will they raise their hand?
And then I say, some of y'all who ever bullied somebody, come down here. You'll get 8 people.
Wow.
And then I say, you know what? I love you guys too. That's the flip. I say, I love you guys too. Even, you know why? Because you're being honest. And then some kids will say, you know what, Brother Elec, I have talked about that person. And they'll say, hey, I'm sorry, man. And they'll apologize in front of the whole student body. And they'll feel great about it. But the thing about it is, the kids that's doing the bullying, there's something going on at home that we don't know about. They're angry. They need somebody to tell them that they love them too. So I'm not pointing the finger and saying, hey, I love you too, just as much as I love them. But just leave people alone. But we have to put it that way. I'm not reading from a book. I'm not reading statistics. I'm not doing a puppet. I'm not knocking anybody's way of talking about bullying. Everybody has their own way. I have a real life experience, because Terry's gone. He wrote a note and said this is why he's doing it. Yeah. So the people out there who say, some teachers say, oh, I think you was a little too harsh. I think you was a little too rough and humiliating them and calling them out. And why? They're not thinking that. They're saying, wow, thanks, because you stuck up for me.
Yeah.
Oh, you're yelling at us. No, I'm telling the truth. And nobody's going to tell y'all that. And I'm glad I'm here telling you this, because I don't care who's watching. I'm always going to tell the truth. I'm going to stick up for the ones who can. I'm always for the underdog, Mark. I'm always for the underdog who don't have that many friends, who eat lunch alone. You ever see the kids eat lunch alone? It's like you eating lunch by yourself right now. You have no friends. I'm going to leave that table and come sit and talk to you. What's up, man? What's your name? Yeah. Oh, Mark, nice to meet you, bro.
Yeah,
I was that kid growing up.
Yeah.
I was that kid. I would leave my popular table, us who are wrestlers, football players. My friends right now to this day will tell you, Elec, hey, what's up? How are you? It's just me.
Yeah. Take me now to your transition to your CDL, and congratulations.
Oh, man.
Because I heard it was a big challenge for you.
Oh, man.
Keeping that that bus on the road. Share with me the story of getting it, but why you want to be a bus driver, and maybe a story or two from your first trip picking up and dropping off students.
So when the pandemic hit, I always wanted to get my CDL. I always wanted to be a school bus driver, not just a truck driver. I always wanted to drive a school bus because I just think I believe in helping kids on the bus, because you see them first, and then you're the last person to see when you drop them off.
What?
And a lot of things happen on the bus. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get my CDL. I'm gonna work hard. I got a little app. I started taking practice tests. I went to the B&V. I had to take the 4 tests: air brakes, passenger, school bus, and then general knowledge. I failed all 4 of those like 3 times each. I was like, okay, I'm done. Went back past general knowledge. That's 50 questions. Went back past air brakes. Passenger failed because I missed one thing. School bus failed twice and went back and did it. And then when I passed, I got my permit. I was like, okay, that part's over. Then you do a whole nother week of stuff. It's a lot. And I'm gonna say this on record right now. School bus drivers should make 6 figures or more. It is the hardest thing because you're carrying somebody's most prized possession. Everything's important, tankers and everything like that, but you're carrying human bodies, little children, their little souls. So you have to make sure you're on alert always. It is so hard because there's every small little thing that you have to know to be a school bus driver. I'm like, is this a joke? Is there cameras? I was like, no, you did that wrong. I got to do this again? Like, yeah, every little small thing. So any school bus driver out there, I'm with you now. I'm part of the family. Y'all deserve it because y'all work hard. They don't just drive the bus. Yeah. Miss Rita Darce, she was my OBI. She taught me, and shout out to Miss Joyce at Kent Local Schools, and shout out to Kelly for even getting me involved. I couldn't find out how to do this. I was like, how do I become a school bus driver? My friend Kelly seen me at the gym. She said, hey, I can help you. We're looking for drivers. No wonder every school system said drivers want to drive, because it's hard. It's one of the hardest things I ever had to do, even harder than auditioning for Stomp.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, right now. But the first day I had to ride with my OBI, Miss Rita, she said, Elec, you have to ride with me in the route. Kids are coming on the bus like, who's this dude? Who's it? Who's this guy? Who's it? And then I knew some kids, like, hey, I know you. But then, the drop, I haven't done a route yet because I just passed. You know what I'm saying? I just had passed, sure. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, okay, so I see this. There's kids on the bus. There's distractions. There's railroad crossings. You have to do this. You have to do this. You have to pay attention the whole time. But my big thing, Mr. Mark, is when because I'll be a substitute. I'll be doing several routes, several things. When you need me, they'll call me. But I got my CDL forever.
Congratulations.
But my number one thing is I just want to put a smile on their face. And if they acting up, that little mirror up there. I was like, always when I was a kid. Who was my Miss Taylor? Phil Hairline in Buckeye Local. Phil Hairline was one of my bus drivers. Miss Fabry, my buddy Luke's mom. She's one of my bus drivers. But I always the mirror. When the bus drivers look up in the mirror.
Yeah.
I always
students look up and look for that face in the mirror too.
Yeah. So when what y'all doing? Sit down. I don't hear. But he said I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Sit down for a minute. Sit down. We're almost there. We're almost there. It's gonna be great. That's how. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I think people talk at kids too much. other than bringing themselves down to their little people.
Sure.
High school kids, you can talk like, man, come on, you know, they probably, you know, but the little elementary ones, bring yourself down to their little souls, because they're just the sweetest, innocent people. They got their mouths.
Yeah. Sure.
Brother, sit down for a minute, I'll talk to you later. But I just can't wait.
In the minute that we have left, I have heard that we can give Elec anything, and he can play it with some type of musical riff. So I'm going to give you this. Look, this is a box of paper clips.
Oh, Lord.
And if you wish, a pen. And as I read my closing, if you could put some accompaniment behind my closing on our way out of this interview. Are you ready, sir? Here we go.
I'm ready.
All right. It's difficult to ignore the call of a drum beat. It summons us, it entertains us, it motivates us, it calls us to act. My guest today, Elec Simon, has heeded that call to act and has made it his life work to spread his positive message through the beat of a drum. Thank you, Elec, and thank you for joining us on Forum 360 as the beat goes on.
Go, Mark. Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.